And we're live.
Hey, we're live. All right, everybody, welcome. Welcome to my paradise. We're glad you could join us today. We're gonna get going here in a few minutes. We're talking about preserving things from your garden, your herbs and fruits. Okay, there happens to be some alcohol involved. There does happen to be some alcohol involved. That's true. I think I'm being secretive because I'm talking about booze. So I'm trying to whisper, which is not going to work. But we're going to talk about some things about making cocktails or mocktails from your garden. So we're also, the goals I think today will be to have fun and to watch me melt. It's hot and I'm sweaty, so I think we're going to nail this. I think we're going to get it. I think that is a guarantee. So is it time to really go? Oh,
not just yet.
She says we're live. So we have people behind the scenes that can answer your questions about herbs, about I've sent them some of my recipes of some of the things I've tried, some of the mistakes I've made, and how I tried to make it, salvage it. So they have those things. They have the list of books that I like as well, and they can answer a lot of questions about herbs and growing things as well. So, should we start?
We've got some people from Seabrook, New Braunfels, Katy, Texas with the Fort Bend Master Gardeners.
Nice. Is everybody else hot? Okay, probably. Okay, so first things first, what we want to do, I want to talk to you about how to harvest herbs, because people don't often know, and that's fine. One of the most important things is it's different for different herbs, okay? So rosemary will be woody, and I just harvested some of this, so I probably would have used might have used my cute clippers, but I probably didn't. So this gets pretty woody. But it's a shrub, and so really on this you can chop it back quite a ways. If you're gonna, you can chop it back even into the woody area. You can use that then as a skewer for cooking. So rosemary, so the herbs that I'm gonna show you pretty much love to be cut back, okay? So that's the thing. You're doing them a favor by using them and trimming them, okay? They're gonna look better, they're gonna sprout more. Mint, I don't even have an example here. Mint, I used to say, you couldn't kill it, but I have a friend who did, so I don't say that anymore. But it's very hard to kill, and so that's easy too. You just cut it back. You can even cut it back down to about 2 inches. Basil is one that's a little different that I want to talk to you about. Basil is an annual, and so it likes to flower. Can you see that? We don't want it to flower, because when it flowers, it's going to start flowering and just focus on flowering, and what we want is vegetative growth, right? We want the leaves for the basil. So we want to cut that back. These are some examples of things I let go too far. But here's one that I just cut, and it loves it. You can see from the heat. But this one's been cut before, if you can see that. So I trimmed it. So what you want to do on your basil is just cut right above the little leaves here. See, right there would be a good spot to cut. So if we had left this on the plants, like this is when we left on the plants. I already did before, and I cut it, and then it sprouted out more. So then if this was still on the plant, this would go shoop, shoop, and have more. And it'd be nice and bushy. So that's how you harvest basil. Don't pull up your whole plant. You just harvest a little bit at a time that you need it. There's a lot of great things you can do with basil, and we had a whole session on that. So look at that, was Brugenhoff, he did that one. Basil doesn't like to be cold. I guess it doesn't like to be that hot either, but it's a good way to store it is to put it in water and just kind of leave it like that on the counter. Okay, so now we know how to harvest some of our herbs, and this is just going to be a talk about how to use that bounty, that harvest. So I've got some books here that I really liked that I was going to show you. The New Cocktail Hour, it's just got all kinds of great recipes. The Drunken Botanist, that sounds fun. She goes into all that liquors from ever. This one tells you how to do infusion, distillation. All I did was put some grapefruit and rum, and I didn't really like it. And shake, that's another good one. So They're all kind of have different. The cocktail hour is really detailed, talks about, you know, the tools and the quality of the different liquors and the, you know, glassware, etc. Okay, so to start, we will look at probably the most common thing to do would be to make a simple syrup. What is a simple syrup? A simple syrup you can buy, and it is water with sugar mixed together. It's like hummingbird food. You can buy it, but you can also just make it yourself. Usually the ratio is a cup of sugar to a cup of water. And you put it on the pot, on the stove, kind of swirl it together. You can, if you use something like this turbinado, I don't know, sugar, it's a little bit more grainy, a little more raw. That you probably want to use on the stove, kind of heat it a little bit. You don't want to boil it or anything. But then if you use just sort of your regular granulated sugar, you could actually put it in a jar with the water and just shake it and kind of get it to dissolve. And not even have to use heat if you're making a simple syrup. But we're not. We're going to make an herbal simple syrup. So what we would do is, oh, and you can use honey. I haven't used honey yet, but you can do that. Also, I haven't done this particularly, but I'm pretty sure that you can make a tea, like a mint tea, and you could just make a tea, because that's essentially what we're doing as well with the sugar in it. Clear as mud. Okay, so I wanted to show you some of the things that I have made. This is my lavender plant, or my blooming. It's just now starting to bloom, so I probably won't get enough to harvest. So I bought some lavender, little flower buds, really cute. This little bag says it was 64 cents. So you're gonna have to shell out some money to get you some lavender. But once you have your simple syrup on the stove and it's your sugar is dissolved, take it off the heat and then put your herbs in. And I have this tea, you know, this little tea holder, and that's what I did with the lavender. I put all the lavender in there and kind of just steeped it. Steeping it means just not boiling it, but letting it, you know, turn into a tea. Same thing with, you know, your rosemary. I made a rosemary simple syrup on that one. I picked off the leaves, and that was from my garden. And then I just used a mortar and pestle to kind of, because that's a little bit harder. And so you want to kind of rough up your herbs a little bit to get them to smell good and have their essence arrive. But you don't want to go too crazy. Like, you don't want to go, you know, you don't want to beat up a basil or a mint sometimes, and you can get it too herbally. So what I have found, what I have done is I have done simple syrups that are double and simple syrups that are less than. And I have found that a lot of my simple syrups are too sweet. And I guess I don't have as much of a sweet tooth as I thought. So I have had a little bit better look, and I find it a little more versatile to just steep the herbs by themselves. So some of them I've done over here. Let's see what we got. Okay, oh, that's a blackberry. I'll have to talk about that in a minute. Okay, lemon simple syrup. For lemon, you want to use lemon juice and sugar, not water. Okay, and that's why there's a huge amount. I got tired of squeezing lemons. This is a mint syrup that I made a long time ago. It was mint, and I think I made it in the winter even. So I harvested a little bit of mint, put it in there, let it steep, and it's been here for a while, but I put an ounce of vodka in there. If you put an ounce of vodka in, that'll help the shelf life for a lot longer. And I keep these things in the refrigerator as well. And then, you know, you mix it with alcohol and it's not going to hurt you, right? This is some steeped lavender that I made earlier this month. And so this gives you the flexibility, because like a really good cocktail is lavender and lemon with a little bit of sweetness. So if you have lemon simple syrup and you have lavender simple syrup, you're just getting too much sugar. So having one that's just the plain old steeped works out better, I think. Some other things. Okay, this is rosemary. I call this rosemary tea because that's what it is. It's some rosemary I made, and then I put some vodka in it because I did this one a while back. And mint, we did that one. We're gonna talk about this is a rosemary simple syrup again. So I have a rosemary steeped. I have a rosemary simple syrup, both. And then, what else do I got here? Oh, the blackberry shrub. Okay, I have two. We're going to talk about the, now we're going to talk about the shrubs and the shrubs and fruit. Okay, so that's how you do herbs. Now for fruit, you need to do it a little bit differently. I did blackberries because they're in season right now. I know some of us out there have blackberries. And on that, there's a couple of different ways you can macerate your blackberries, which I didn't know about that. I didn't know what that term was. You may know about it, but it's an old preservation method where you mix the blackberries and sugar, and you just, that's when you want to use your really good, strong, heavy-duty muddler, and you mash it in like a, you know, a Pyrex is what I use, and just get it all mixed up really well, and then you refrigerate it. Or you can heat it. I think the one I did last night, I did on the stove, so I kind of heated it up and mashed it all in there, and then I let it sit. But you can also put it in the fridge with the sugar, and the sugar is going to make it release its juices. And so then when you get it out, you're going to want to strain off the chunky things, which this thing really has helped me. I used to not have a good sieve. This is actually called a julep sieve. I don't know why. And then you get your funnel out. So once you get your pot off the stove with your, or out of the fridge with your juicy blackberries in it, you're going to put it over a bottle and squeeze out the berries and throw the berries out, what's left of them. Okay, so you can macerate your fruit to make a simple syrup. The other thing you can do with macerating your fruits is make a shrub. And I'm not talking about bushes. So a shrub, you macerate your fruits and you let it sit for like 48 hours, and then you take that out and you mix it with like a champagne vinegar. This is white wine vinegar, but you mix it with some vinegar. And they do have some recommendations. Champagne's better because it's a little milder. But if you don't have the champagne vinegar, you can use the white wine vinegar. So you mix that in there and you let that sit for a couple weeks. And I gotta say, it's kind of weird. It's really tangy. It reminds me of balsamic vinegar, really. I made a one out of blackberry. Here it is, my blackberry shrub, and very tangy. I found some ways I like to use it, and I have that on my recipe sheet. But then I also had purchased some balsamic vinegar that was blackberry flavored, and I did a little taste test, and to me it wasn't that much difference. But I mean, that's another way. Maybe you can make it a little bit less liquidy and use it as a dressing, a salad dressing. Of course, all of these things you don't have to put in with gin or bourbon. Any of these things do great with pepping up your salsa waters, okay? And all of these would be good with putting it in your iced tea or your lemonade or just any kind of regular water, okay? So I think I've covered how to make a simple syrup, how to make a shrub, how to macerate. Was there any questions, Nikki?
The only question so far really is someone has a pot of lavender that they've kept alive for a year. It has some dried leafy stems mixed with new green growth stems. Should they cut off all the dried stems?
Are the dried stems below the leafy ones? Is that what it says?
It doesn't say specifically.
Okay, yeah, I mean, if it's dead by now, if it's still looking dry, you probably should just cut that off. Unless it's like crunchy at the bottom and then gets more lively at the end.
We did have a comment that someone loves shrubs.
Shrubs! Good. I'm glad. They can tell us how to use them better, me. Okay, so now I want to just, let's see, what do I want to do now? Show you some other things that are pretty crucial to the business. Always, I think, you're going to want some citrus. Okay, and what we're talking about today is we're talking about the craft cocktail, where you mix a small one up for your friend, you know, really high maintenance is what we're looking at. We're not looking at making a big rump punch or something. So what's kind of nice about that is you make a drink, a single drink, and then you can kind of tweak it if you need to. So lemons and limes are always important, okay? I use this kind of a squeezer, and I recently got one of these to be super fancy because it has a measure on it, and it actually works really well also. So I think to show you kind of the rest of it, we're gonna make a drink. We're gonna make we're gonna make a gin basil smash. Nikki has said she will drink that one, and then I'm gonna make a kind of a mint and julep. Did y'all realize that the Kentucky Derby should have happened and they had to move it? So it's kind of mint and julep season, right? All right, so for our gin basil smash, we're gonna want to take 10 basil leaves, which I have pre-harvested and rinsed. I don't always rinse my herbs. I just sort of shake them off because they just get dust on them. But for Nikki, I did wash them. So I'm just gonna pick off the leaves here and put them in the bottom of my shaker. For this, you don't want to go too. Oh, I forgot a step for you. Gotta get fancy here. These are the little things, people, that are gonna impress your friends. Oh, I tell you. And that is, you get a chilled glass, okay? And when you do that, you can put it in the freezer, or you put some ice in it while you're sitting there. And that's gonna chill your drink, okay? See this? This is where we're gonna make the gin basil smash. Okay, so then we put 10 basil leaves in, and we're not gonna wanna go crazy on that muddling. And we're gonna add an ounce of lemon. And I just so happen to be like a cooking show and have my lemon ready to roll.
You got a fan club, Janet.
Oh, good. What is it? We got an official name? We got a president? What we got?
Oh, you got some family on here.
Oh, they're probably saying my nickname.
Some names I don't know, so
oh, yeah.
that say you're the best.
I got a lot of nicknames. Okay, so this is a simple syrup. And it says about 2/3 of an ounce of this. So I don't know how much that is. We're just going to put a little in because we can tweak it. So I need to muddle. For this, I'm going to use my little baseball bat looking muddle. Okay. And just kind of smash it around this edge of the glass down here. Don't want to get too herby crazy. I mean, but all this is also just kind of up to your own preference and your taste. So now we're going to add the gin, and this is a jigger. So these are usually it's about 2 ounces on this side, 1 ounce on that, and we're putting gin in this. So here's some gin, and it calls for 2 ounces. So here we go. Now another thing is on all of these, or a lot of these, you can make this cocktail and then even add the fizzy water to it. For some reason, I don't know if it's just my thing. I feel like gin lends itself better to adding fizzy water to make it seem like a light, refreshing drink, more so than bourbon. And I don't really drink vodka, and I haven't done much with rum except that fateful grapefruit incident. All right, so we got it all in here now, and we're gonna shake it. Shake, 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 shake. And you can really shake these things and get them foamy and all sorts of crazy things, but we're not gonna do that today. And so now, this recipe says to serve it with ice in here, but I don't want to do that because I've got it nice and cold. So we're just going to put it in here like so, and hopefully there's not a lot of green in there. Look at that, not too bad. I don't have any leaves showing up. Okay, and then, look at this. So this, we could put a little.
We got some
basil.
that are still having a hard time
Are
hearing
they?
you.
So then I've got these cute little skewers, and so you can put a little basil here, like as a little garnish. Whoops, that one didn't work. Or, you know, a little lemon. Okay. All right. So Nikki, I'm going to hand this to you, and you can take a sip and just give us some feedback. So that's what that's what I recommend doing. And it, it doesn't hurt my feelings if it's not sweet or too sweet, or what do you think?
I like it.
Yeah.
Not too sweet, which is great.
Yeah.
It's a very lemony with just like that nice undertone of basil. It's not too overpowering.
And it's sweet enough?
To me it is.
Good. Perfect. One happy customer. Okay, thank you, Nikki.
You said just one sip?
No, you can finish that one. since we can't share. So the next drink I'm going to make will be the mint julep of sorts. And I'm a bourbon fan, but I don't like mint julep, which I probably shouldn't say. So for this, we need an ounce of bourbon. I got a different jigger for that. Man, I mean, can you tell how sweaty I am? I'm so sweaty. I mean, I'm so glistening. I'm so glistening. All right, so an ounce of bourbon. Put it in there. We're gonna put an ounce of this blackberry simple syrup in here. Blackberry simple, blackberry simple. Okay, oh, an ounce.
Somebody asked if you needed some help cleaning up.
I sure do. I sure do. Look at all this stuff that I have to, and just think about all the hours of work I had to experiment, trying these different combinations so that you, my listener, would be safe and have something that would taste good. Okay, so then you can muddle in your mint, but since I made that mint tea kind of stuff before, I'm just going to do that instead. Which that might be sacrilegious. I don't know. We're going to do it. It's my day here. So this is just mint. Whoops, that's mint simple. That's going to be too sweet. Oh well. That's going to be too sweet probably. And then I have down a little squirt of lemon because you always kind of want a little squirt of lemon. Probably. This is probably going to be just 5 bits. Put some ice in here so you can get fancy round ice cubes. Look at that. Or square ones. I've started playing around with putting stuff in ice cubes like lemon or rosemary. Not working out so much yet. So since it is from my garden and I want to be gardeny, I am going to garnish this one with some mint, put in there like that. But I also could be fancy, since it is blackberry as well, and put a few blackberries on a spear, and drop them in like that. And that's kind of cute. Let's see what it tastes like though. It's not bad. Actually, it's really pretty good. You would think it'd be a little too sweet, I would think that, but it actually works pretty well. So I think that's all I'm gonna have to talk about. I think we've gone over what I set out to tell you about. Again, these you can experiment with the different flavors of soda water and putting them in. This one's cucumber. I got one that's lavender the other day. So I was kind of experimenting with the difference with the lavender sparkly water counter and be the similar thing as the lavender steeped herb in the thing. So there's a lot of fun things you can do to experiment with. And like I said, the oregano syrup was like the worst thing I made, but I did find a way to drink it. And I have that on there. So I think that's it. And I hope y'all have fun and enjoy the long weekend. Maybe now you can impress your friends with something fancy that you made from your garden. See y'all next time.